Hello and welcome to another episode of Film Spill, a movie night podcast. I'm your host, Chelsea. Film Spill, if you already don't know, is a podcast that comes out every week, and we talk about a movie by a female filmmaker every episode. We also discuss women in the entertainment industry in general. We play slumber party type games, spill entertainment gossip, and get to know each other and our guest. This week, we don't have a guest. It is just me, myself, and I, and my wine. This time around, I kind of know the wine that I'm drinking. Instead of me playing the slumber party type game, I think I'm just going to shout out the wine if I am drinking it. It turns out I'm drinking one of my favorite go-to wines. It's a red wine. It's from Germany. I can't pronounce the name of the bottle, but if you guys really want to know, let me know. I'm going to put a poll in this. Now that you can do polls on Spotify, it's why not? Do you want to know about wine? Do you want to know about the wines I'm drinking? I have thought about becoming a wine influencer, but that's not in the books for me right now. Maybe later down the line you'll see me posting more about wine. I do love me a good white wine. A Riesling, to be specific. I always lean towards a good Riesling. But anywho, we're going to be talking about Ava Dunernay. I'm really excited to discuss Ava Dunernay and just who she is as a powerhouse Black American filmmaker. She is just killing the game. She's been killing the game. I feel like you don't hear much about her because she does things on the low, but is doing so much to try to change the dynamic of women filmmakers, especially people of color, and to have us behind the camera more, to uphold those positions of, directing our own television shows, producing, writing, whatever the case may be, but having us on those roles and for us to get those equal opportunities. So I'm really excited to dive in deep and talk more about her. Today we're specifically going to be talking about Ava Duvernay's drama historical film Selma, 2014. Selma is available to watch on Showtime, Prime Video, and YouTube. This discussion will contain spoilers for the film, so if you haven't already seen it, go watch and come back afterwards to hear my thoughts. This film takes place in 1964, where the Civil Rights Act that legally desegregated the South. Discrimination was still rampant in certain areas, making it very difficult for blacks to register to vote. In 1965, an Alabama city became the battleground in the fighting for suffrage. Despite violent opposition, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and his followers pressed forward on an epic march from Selma to Montgomery, and their efforts culminated with President Lyndon Johnson signing the Voting Rights Act of 1965. The writer-director for this film is Ava Dunernay. She is an American filmmaker, television producer, and former film publicist. She has been nominated for an Academy Award and a Golden Globe. After making her directorial debut with I Will Follow, she won the directing award in the U.S. Dramatic Competition at the 2012 Sundance Film Festival for a second feature from Middle of Nowhere. She was the first Black woman to win the award. Her work on Selma made her the first Black woman to be nominated for a Golden Globe Award for Best Director and the Academy Award for Best Picture. She was also the first Black woman to direct a film with a budget of $100 million, with A Wrinkle in Time that is also available to watch on Disney+. She stated in an interview that I watched that she was familiar with the area where the movie took place, so she felt really comfortable with telling the story, and that was one of the reasons why she chose to direct Selma. Before Selma even became a film, there had never been anything that centered MLK as the protagonist. So she was asked multiple times in interviews why she chose to tell the story, and the majority of the time she says that, there was other films being made by, different icons or legends, and for their own reason, but there was never a story centered around MLK. And I really felt like this movie did need to be made, and it needed to, we needed to be more involved in just his story. Like, in school we would learn about MLK and what happened and what led up to his assassination, but there was no, there's one thing to tell a story, like book-wise, and then there's one to like really dive in deep with just not even just about MLK, but everything else that was centered around him and what else was happening. And I think she did an incredible job. Like, it's really well done. It's not overly like cliched. I think that she appropriately tells the story as it should. And like I said, it's not very much centered on just one specific thing that he did, but it was just like a variety of just important events that were happening around him. I ended up watching another interview with her, and she was on the Kelly Clarkson show, which is really surprising. I didn't know she was on the Kelly Clarkson show. And Kelly Clarkson asked her what her favorite band is to listen to, and she said U2. And I was shook. I'm like, no one appreciates U2 anymore. Like, that's such an old generation band. I'm actually a fan of some of their music. They're pretty good. If you haven't listened to U2, definitely take a listen. I will put that in the show notes so you guys can take a listen to some U2. But I don't know if this has happened to you or if this is still a thing, but Apple Music for a really long time had U2 music like for free. Like, you would just open your Apple Music and there would be U2 songs on there. I don't know if that's still a thing or if that would just happen to me. Or I could be thinking about like Tap Tap Revolution. I had some U2 songs on there. I don't know. She also created a platform called Array Crew, which is a database to promote the hiring of underrepresented professionals, including women and people of color in film and television industries. Which is, like I said, badass. I really feel like I feel her energy when I watch interviews from her, or if she's just like, I feel like she's talking to me. And like, I love feeling that type of energy from an individual. And she's one of the directors that I feel like I connected with the most. Like, I can feel her fire and I can feel her passion and how much she wants to change the industry and, wants to help others. And I feel like that resonates with me and how I want to, be a voice for my community. And I hope to do that as a director. And she, like, just hearing her speak just motivates me that, like, I can do what she does. We can all do anything that we put our minds to. This is something that I found very interesting. She has this famous quote that she likes stating, "If your dream only involves you, it's too small." It really made me think, okay, do my dreams really just involve me? And like, they do when it comes to like what my career is, right? Like, you're just like, what do you want for yourself? But also, I feel like it doesn't mean just about you, but it also means like what else you can, like, what communities or what other people can you impact? And I'm like, all right, this is starting to make more sense. And I start thinking, I'm like, all right, what type of people would you want to impact in your dream, right? And as a director or as like a creative in the field, what do you hope for your art to do, right? How do you feel like your work should impact others? Or how do you want them to impact others? Like, really makes you think. And I like that. I like thinking about that. And I'm going to keep that in the back of my mind. If my dream only involves me, it's too small. I gotta dream bigger. Ava Dunernay was the 7th choice to direct after she wrote a script for the budget that they had. Because, we're all on these film budgets. And there's a lot that really goes into screenplays. Like, I really give writers props for writing scripts, because there's just like so much intricate details that you want to put, especially when you're doing something that's so historic, right? And you want to make sure that you have all of that information correct and that you're not misplacing certain things, because then it just like comes back and bites you like, oh, you did this wrong, or that's historically incorrect. She was not allowed to use Dr. King's original speeches because they are copyrighted material, and his estate had already given permission to Steven Spielberg for an upcoming Untitled film. When rewriting the speeches, Duvernay would go on hikes while listening to Dr. King's speeches in an effort to understand what he was trying to tell people. The original script focused on the relationship between Dr. King and President Lyndon B. Johnson, and there were no women included. This is the first feature film about Martin Luther King Jr., and this film was shot in 32 days. The production designer was Mark Friedberg, and the set decorator is Elizabeth Keenan. It was important for the crew to not make a mockery of Selma like previous films have done. They were driven around by the mayor and met locals. Many locals were helpful in allowing the crew to borrow or rent items they thought would fit the film. There was lots of help from the Selma Museum for props. They utilized different color palettes, red, whites, blues for the White House, LBJ's bedroom, Wallace's office, etc. They used vibrant, more saturated colors that were warm and patterned for character sets. So the cinematography was done by Brad Young. His lighting is beautiful, fearless, and shadowy. The framing gives an intensity to each moment. There was a lot of profile shots, and the one-on-one conversations had such telling profiles on screen. Duvernay says that she wanted it to be a little off-centered and a little uncomfortable in those types of moments. Let's get into the music. Okay, so tell me how this movie has one of the best songs done by John Legend. Like, I don't know, I love Glory. Like, I can listen to Glory all the time. Like, it's so good. It's so powerful. And it wasn't just written by him. Rhymefest and Common also helped John Legend write the song. And it is an Oscar award-winning song because it's that good. Jazz musician Jason Moran composed the score for Selma. It was his first time scoring a movie. See, I'm telling you, we just need opportunities. These people who are underrepresented, literally, we just need that one opportunity to shine and show what we're made of. And look where it got him. It got him his first score on a big-time movie like Selma. The plot shows the evolution of change while spontaneously showing the stunted growth which has not changed. Selma is about more than just the political maneuvering, but also the chief orchestra. Selma is more about just the political maneuvering, but about the chief orchestrator of the ordeal. It never loses sight of the small, intimate moments between King and his followers. It explores Duvernay's female empowerment through showcasing the marriage between Dr. King and Coretta Scott King. The movie points out the roles that the media plays in influencing the hearts and minds of the American people. It humanizes the legends surrounding the history of the civil rights movement. Some dialogue references. While recreating the voice of Dr. King, the actor focuses many on the cadences to the speeches scenes. The dialogue is as much about the pausing in between sentences and the expressions on the characters' faces that feel strategic. Even the dialogue itself as a reminder that we all have a voice and that it is worthy of being heard. Some themes are, from the top of the hill of progress, it is just as easy to slide down backwards as it is to move forward. Imbalance of power, interesting how represented a moment in history can reflect on the current time in not only your country, but in the world. Like I've stated before, this is such a powerful movie, and if you want to see just like a different viewpoint, this movie is not your average like what you would see of Martin Luther King and maybe a documentary. I think because this film isn't a documentary, that it just helps portray more of what could have happened, or just more details of what did happen that aren't shown and that maybe people don't want us to see. And this is something that Ava Dunernay wants to help push in the future, or that she would hope that schools would include, is a curriculum of history that includes the perspective of all Americans. And that is so well said, because we all have our own history, and the way that these textbooks are written, I don't know if they still are now. I don't know if they changed. I haven't been in school for I think 6 years now. But how they're written is to block out those graphic, those intense moments in history that they don't want to shed light to, and that we unfortunately have to learn online or through the internet, TikTok, Instagram. And we shouldn't have to learn about history through social media. This should be taught in schools. We should be learning this at an early age. I was learning about the presidents in first grade, right? I had to know all of the presidents, sing a song about them, yada, yada, yada. So if we're doing that, then we should include this type of history, right? And luckily we do have a day dedicated to MLK. I don't know how the curriculum is being pushed in schools, but I would hope and encourage the fact that we are informing children about our history. And that is it for this week's episode. I hope this gave you a better insight about Ava Dunernay. Please, but I do highly encourage you to learn some more about Ava Dunernay, maybe some points that I didn't touch upon on this episode. Thank you so much for listening. This has been Film Spill, a Movie Night podcast. You can follow us on Instagram, TikTok, and Pinterest. All are at Film Spill Pod. Tell a friend about the podcast if you like, and leave us a review on Apple Podcasts. That's going to help other people find Film Spill too. But please, 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 I appreciate it from the bottom of my heart if you guys would just leave a 5-star review. Special thanks to Onyx Films for promoting us. You can check out Onyx's other projects at onyx-films.com. And until next time, don't cry over a spilled film.